Hey everybody. Last time we got ready to relax at home, leaving everything behind and coming down off of all the stress of the day. Right now, we're going to do some poses to get us out there, to get us ready for the day, to get our knees together, get some flexibility, physically, mentally, emotionally, all of that. So we're going to start with we're going to go into Sukhasana and move into Dandasana. And these poses are really good because they get us ready for something else. They might be getting us ready for, like I said, going out or a project, but also getting us ready sometimes for another intense pose or a bound pose. So we're going to start that now. First thing we're going to do is come into Sukhasana. And if you see me coming into Sukhasana, you'll see a little bit that maybe you won't see. Let me help you here. There you go. And you'll see that maybe, or feel that your bottom's kind of rounded a little bit. It's not really on, your butt is not really on the ground. So we can move some of our flesh, as they say, to get our sits bones all right there on the ground in Sukhasana. It's called, the colloquial is easy pose, but this is a little bit of the hardest part. And as you know, we do a lot of these poses so that we can finally sit and meditate and get some awareness. So another thing you can do is just see I'm just gonna lift my bottom and sit and get a little wedge going to kind of help me with my posture. And that helps a lot. I don't feel rounded as much, and I don't seem rounded when you see it in the video. Okay, so the next thing you're gonna do, I'm just turning here, is relax your shoulders. A lot of people walk around not knowing that their shoulders are tense. So what do? Is we're gonna move them up and drop them down. And turn our neck, moving in a circle, as if there's a halo that you're rolling your head inside, above your head. I hope that made sense. Okay, halo. You're rolling it around. And then you're going to go the other way. And of course, near the end, we'll come back to Sukhasana. But we're going to start with it right now. Okay, our next pose, and I'm going to stay seated on here just for Dandasana. Dandasana is similar, but when here, we're going to have our feet straight out in front of us with the balls of our feet touching together, okay? Sorry, the sides of our feet touching together. All right, this is Dandasana. Same things need to be thought about. Our sits bones, the spine. Imagine the spine is a straw, and oxygen is coming in and out. And whenever there's a little kink, it's just a little harder. So have your intention to stay straight, but with relaxed shoulders. Our first forward fold is going to be Janu Sirsasana. And in here, we're going to take our foot and take one foot, and the bottom of the foot goes to the thigh of the opposite leg. And in here, we inhale arms up, and then we're going to kind of fold to where we can. Now, please be aware of your body and where you can go. There is going to be, you should feel a stretch in the back, and of course you'll feel a stretch underneath your knee. If your knee buckles up, please come higher. And by that, I mean, if you can come to your toe, oh, that's amazing. If you can take 2 fingers and grab onto your big toe, that's great. If that is too much, you can come up to your ankle. If that's too much, you can come up to your shin. Come up wherever you can. Go to wherever you can, so that number 1, you're not in pain, and number 2, your knee doesn't buckle up. Because we want to finally stretch. Remember, we're getting ready for something. So you want to finally stretch underneath the knee here. And if we always have our knee bent, we're never going to work it out. So go as far as you can with a few breaths here. Again, this is Janu Sirsasana. And once you feel a little bit comfortable in this pose, I want you to lower your elbow, bend your elbow, and see if you can go any further down. With this, you can get a little bit more from the stretch. Wonderful. Roll up. And in Dandasana, we're going backwards, and in Sukhasana, please remember, your head has some positioning, so it's not all over the place. You might want to think about pushing your chin down and in a little bit. All right, so let's switch feet. We're going to do what we did on the other side. Inhale, arms up, and exhale, coming down. You might notice that, hey, I can go lower on this side than I can on the other. You might notice that this side is short in terms of the stretch. But we're still going to do the same idea. Your didishti should be at your feet or ahead. Forward, I mean. When you feel comfortable on the exhale, drop your elbow. Come on up. We're going to put our feet together for Baddha Konasana. So I'm going to turn here. And unlike Sukhasana, I'm not going to use a modification here, just because there's different things that are happening in this pose. When my legs are wider, it's actually easier for me to get those sits bones down and be straight up. Okay. Take both hands and have them up, to put them underneath your feet. And then at some point, I would like you to straighten your back, pulling up gently on your feet. And at the same time, think about it. If you can do it, great. Think about bringing your knees further down. Breathe. If you can get your heels close to your groin, as you can, see if you can also bring your hands behind your back with your fingers facing forward. in Baddha here, but keeping everything together. Your feet touching each other, your knees down, and your palms on the ground. And relax your face. Wonderful. Bring your knees up. And it's time for Navasana, colloquially known as boat pose. We're going to come here. I'm going to move around my bottom, get back on my sits bones like we talked about before. And in boat pose, this is kind of a balance pose as well. There are different ways to get into it. This is one way, and I'm also going to show another one. So one way we can do it is you can bring one foot up with your hands underneath your legs, right here. You bring them up here, and we're going to straighten our legs out if we can, and bring our arms here. One modification is to keep holding on underneath the knees. And one is to be in the pose with one leg at a time. I'll show you how that goes. So we'll start from knees up again. You bring one leg up, and you're holding your feet out. And then, of course, you do the same on the other side. Feet out and cross your ankles. Bring them in. If you need to move your sits bones or move the flesh so your sits bones can be grounded, go ahead and do that. And relax. Careful to keep that spine erect, but at the same time, lowering your shoulders or relaxing your shoulders and keeping your head and your chin solid. Next, let's move on to our Dandasana. So we can close our knees in, uncross our ankles, and come sitting up. And the next thing that we can do, again, kind of adjust our bottoms back here. And if you need to, sit on a folded mat to make sure your spine props up. Sit on a wedge. I'm just, for this Dandasana today, I'm just going to sit on my pillow. Even a pillow you sleep on, or a pillow like a pillow that you would sleep on would be nice. Okay, I feel better. Make sure you're not going to slip off. Okay. Now let's go into, Sirsasana. Janu Sirsasana. So I'm going to remove this for now. And bring my foot, bottom of my foot on my thigh. Reach up, fold down to where I can. Oh, look, I can go a little bit deeper. Take a few breaths. Make sure that oxygen's getting all into your intended space here. And when you can, maybe, possibly, Bend your elbow to come a little lower. And your girishti, which is your eye gaze, can be at your knees, your feet. Okay, and we're going to switch feet. Bring your feet together. Switch. Arms up. And then we'll calm down on the exhale. When you think you're ready after a few breaths, bend that elbow. And you can feel that stretch in the back. And also underneath the knee. Bring your feet together in Baddha Konasana. Let's lift underneath the feet, straighten up. And if you'd like to try a fuller expression of this pose, you're going to keep your feet together here. Bring your hands straight behind you. Keep trying to get that pull down. Okay. Here comes the little transformer part. Bring your knees in, slip down. And when I say slip down, I mean lower your back. Bring your knees up, bring your knees up and your legs up. Straighten them out and straighten your arms out. I'll bring that back in, turn so you can see me. Try it again. So you can do it from here or from Baddha Konasana. Go ahead. Knees up, you're coming down, arms up. You can do one leg at a time. There you go. One. Cross and come up. Once we've got some breaths in, reach up, stretch forward, pull up, arch back, look up, exhale, arch your back in the other direction, look at your knees, curve that spine like the letter N. Open up your knees and we're going to begin going to a child's pose. So you're going to bring your head down, your forehead on the ground. Continue to stretch up and out. Open up your fingers. And the next exhale, bring your hands to your sides with your palms facing up. And if you find that your bottom isn't hitting your heels, you can open up your knees a little more to give some space. Bring your hands up, push off, bring your knees together, cross your ankles, push yourself back into Sukhasana. Come back to your equipment. Come back into Sukhasana. All right, so from Sukhasana, we are going to go into our Navasana, which is boat pose. the first thing we can do is we can do a couple of things. We can start from on our backs, but for today we're going to start on our hands. Excuse me, not our hands, our backside, just from sitting. Okay? So from sitting, we're here with our knees up. And again, from Dandasana. Okay? Now, if you were in a using a modification like a pillow or something in your Dandasana, we would take it out now so we can get in that Navasana pose. So go ahead and put your knees up. Bring your knees up. And the idea is we're going to balance kind of like a boat does on the water, right? We're going to keep a little curve. Bring one foot up. And then the other. And then you can hold underneath your knees. If I do that, I get a cramp. It's going to be a lot of editing on this one. Okay. One foot out. And another foot out. And we're going to come here. And actually, this is Ardha Navasana. Just half of both toes. And make sure to get that breath. And in the pose, don't hold your face and hold your breath. There might be some shaking, and that's okay. In our poses, we can come out and then pop back into them if we need to. When I say pop, I mean get back into the pose. All right? Don't worry about what's happening around you. All right? And don't think, oh, I did it for 2 seconds like I just did, and then leave. Let's try it again. I'm going to come up under our knees, bring the feet up, bring another foot up, and bring our hands out to our knees. And try to take a couple breaths. Good job. Get that oxygen back in there. Into our abs. And when you breathe in, have it feeling all. If we could run it, if we could. Okay. We're going to do Navasana again. And we're going to do it with some modifications. And we're going to do it with some confidence. Today I want to tell you the first modification in any pose is, where would you like? That will make you more comfortable and more happy. This is kind of what I want to do with my channel, is make sure that you're practicing yoga in a way that gives confidence. You don't have to look like everyone else or anyone else in the class or online. You don't have to be like anybody else, but be you. Okay, the first thing I'd like you to do is to, there are a few different ways we can get into Navasana, okay? Some are from sitting up, which if you saw earlier, I actually struggled with a little bit. And you can also come into it from lying down if you are able to engage your abdominal muscles. And let me show you what that looks like. So we can start from laying down and bringing the knees up. We can begin to just have an awareness of your abdominal muscles. You can bring your hands there and have some intention to know that you're going to, part of you coming up is not just lifting your head, but engaging and squeezing and activating. I don't know what words you want to use, but pulling in with your muscles. Contracting, that's what I was to say. Okay, so there's a few ways. We can start with one foot up, okay? And notice it's not way up here. And it's not super low down here. Maybe if we were doing a half boat pose of Ardha Navasana, that's what we could do, and I'll show you that later. But here, let's maybe have it up to where our other knee begins to bend. And from here, we'll bring our hands up, and with your head, your shoulders, and your belly button, you're going to come up off the floor, and your hands coming to your sides, parallel to the floor. And come up this way, and hold it there. And if you have more confidence here, looking forward, you're going to bring your other foot up. Take a few breaths. Bring one foot down. We're going to come in the opposite way. Bring your feet down. While you're here, go ahead and bring your hands back on your abdominal muscles and your belly. Give it some good loving. It's not very scientific, but it helps. Okay, so that's one way, one modification. The other, I'm going to cross my ankles and roll up. The other way is to start from, and I know you saw me do this already, but we're going to do it again. Maybe a little bit more explanations. So, with our sits bones on grounded, like we talked about earlier in Dandasana, we are going to bring our knees up. Relaxing those shoulders and not quite leaning back yet. Okay. We are going to lean back. There's a little curve lock that happens in your belly, in your pelvis. So you're going to kind of curve your belly under. But notice how I'm bringing my chin under. Don't do that. Okay? Keep your head and eyes forward. And you can go and bring one foot up. And you can hold it with your hands underneath. Bring the other one up. It's one modification. Or again, we can always do one at a time on each side. Now, don't turn your head and look at the camera like me. Go ahead and keep your eyes forward. And if you saw me, I was alternating one side, and maybe you do 5 breaths on one side, and then switch to the other side and do 5 breaths on the other side. Or maybe you can gain some confidence with that modification, and then bring the other foot up as well. The other things is props that we can use. So I have this great big fancy ottoman thingy, but you could use this or a stack of books or some blocks. Okay, and you can do a couple things. You can be a little bit against the wall. If your stomach muscles, if you struggle with your stomach muscles being able to hold you up, you have your shoulders on the wall a little bit and scoot back a little bit. So it's not quite chair yoga, but you're using the wall to help you bring these, not only to bring the legs up, but to keep the legs up. Okay? You're going to be activating some parts, contracting parts of your abdomen, but not as many muscles as without the wall, okay? So with your shoulder blades and your shoulders flat on the wall, and then scoot your bottom out a little bit, then you can have your feet up, and if you need to bend, there, scoot it out a little bit more, and I'm leaning back on the wall. Another thing you could do is put your feet on something as high as you can, I should say, and bring here. Okay? And the good things about modification is you can modify for life. You can keep this as your practice. And then, or you can try without certain modifications. And then finally, moving on to, if you feel like you need to, the full expression of the pose. Thank you for listening to me. Thank you for watching. As I try to explain Navasana, the boat pose, no matter how rocky it is in the boat, keep trying.